Our story today begins. From the seashore, a horrifying faceless monster suddenly slithers up. However, the woman shows no fear at all. She looks at her watch, it's just in time. Then she raises her crossbow, aiming at a target she cannot even see. As the monster gets closer, she pulls the trigger and hits the creature right between its eyes. The monster collapses inside a circle she had drawn beforehand. Her name is Miss Peregrine, a peculiar being, a bird capable of resetting time. Miss Peregrine has established an orphanage to protect children from evil forces. Each orphan here possesses a special ability. Take a closer look at the little girl named Claire. While normal people eat with their mouths, she brings a chicken leg to the back of her head. In just 3 seconds, she finishes the entire chicken leg without leaving a trace. Miss Peregrine gently wipes the crumbs from Claire's lips. If there isn't enough food on the table, it's not a problem. Fiona has the ability to infinitely enlarge any object. She focuses on a carrot, and in the blink of an eye, a giant carrot sprouts from the ground. Next, the youngest girl, Bronwyn, uses her strength, and the giant carrot is easily pulled from the ground and quickly taken to the kitchen. Need hot water? No fire is needed. Olive places her hands on the kettle, and in just a few seconds, a kettle of boiling water is placed on the table. There is also Hugh, who can release bees, and Emma, whose body is lighter than air. But the most mysterious are the twins, Joel and Peter. Their ability is identical to Medusa in Greek mythology. They can turn living creatures to stone just by looking at them. Although each child here has a peculiar ability, they can only hide inside the time loop created by Miss Peregrine. This means that all the children are trapped on September 3rd, 1943, forever frozen in time and never aging. Until one day, a boy from 2016 named Jake appears. On that day, Jake receives an urgent phone call from his grandfather, ABE. Abe warns that their home has been attacked by a monster. When Jake arrives, Abe is lying on the ground, barely breathing. Jake is horrified to see that his grandfather's eyes are gone. With his last breath, Abe tells Jake to go to the island he always talked about, to go back to September 3rd, 1943, and find Miss Peregrine at the orphanage. She will give Jake all the answers he needs. After saying this, Abe passes away. To uncover the truth, Jake takes his grandfather's old photographs and goes to the mysterious island. In a remote forest, he finds a dilapidated orphanage. The place is completely desolate, covered in dust, with no signs of life for years. Jake wanders around, wondering why his grandfather sent him here. Just as he is about to leave, a blurry figure appears before him. Startled, Jake turns and runs. As he runs to the stairs, 2 little girls are peeking at him from behind a door. In the corner of the room, 2 masked children stand motionless. Jake panics and runs as fast as he can, but he trips on a rock and falls. When Jake wakes up, a group of peculiar children are staring at him. Surprisingly, he is not scared, but astonished. They are the very friends his grandfather used to talk about. The children lead him through a cave until they arrive at a beautiful house. Jake is stunned. It is the same orphanage he saw earlier, but now it is completely intact. The door opens, and standing there is Miss Peregrine. What Jake doesn't realize is that he has traveled back to September 3rd, 1943. The cave is the entrance to Miss Peregrine's time loop. Miss Peregrine recognizes him immediately. Jake looks exactly like his grandfather when he was young. Under her guidance, Jake finally meets all the peculiar children in the orphanage. He realizes that everything his grandfather told him was true. That night, Miss Peregrine gathers everyone outside. A clock is placed on a table. Everyone is wearing a gas mask and standing in silence. Miss Peregrine checks the time. It is just right. Suddenly, fighter jets roar across the sky. As the last plane flies over, its bomb bay doors open and a bomb falls straight down. But Miss Peregrine remains calm. She presses a pause button, time freezes, and the bomb and raindrops hang motionless in midair. Then she starts turning her watch backward. Everything that happened begins to move in reverse. Time reverses until they are back 24 hours earlier. Miss Peregrine has used her special ability to keep the orphanage safe in an endless time loop, permanently locked on September 3rd, 1943. The next day, Jake asks Miss Peregrine about his grandfather's death. He mentions seeing a terrifying, faceless monster at the scene. Miss Peregrine's expression suddenly changes. She refuses to answer and walks away. Her reaction makes Jake suspicious. He feels she is hiding something. Determined to find out, Jake seeks out Emma, the girl who can control air. Emma takes him out to the open sea, then without hesitation, she dives straight into the water. Jake hesitates but follows her. As they sink deeper and deeper, Jake begins to have trouble breathing. Suddenly, Emma releases a giant air bubble from her mouth, enveloping Jake's head. He can finally breathe. Soon they reach a shipwreck. Inside, skeletons are scattered on the floor, but Emma moves through the wreck as if she is familiar with it. She leads Jake into a secret room inside the ship. Emma takes a deep breath and gently blows out a stream of air. Instantly, the entire shipwreck fills with countless air bubbles. As more and more bubbles appear, the immense weight of the seawater is pushed out. Emma quickly closes the hatch, keeping the water outside. Then, she takes out a small box, something that AB, Jake's grandfather, had given her to keep over 70 years ago. Inside is a map marking the locations of time portals and a few photos of men with all white eyes. The last photo is of a man named Baron. He is the leader of the Whites. They were once hollowasts. They eat the eyes of peculiar children to turn into whites. AB was once one of the peculiars, but he was ultimately brutally murdered by a hollowast. Emma tells Jake that he is also one of the peculiars. Only peculiars can enter the time loop and be here. Seeing that Jake doesn't believe her, Emma leads him to the orphanage wall and helps him climb it. From a distance, Miss Peregrine is walking towards the shore with her crossbow. A few moments later, a hollowast crawls up from the water. Jake is speechless. The monster looks exactly like the one he saw when his grandfather was killed. Miss Peregrine calmly pulls the trigger, and the arrow embeds itself straight into the hollowast's forehead. The creature collapses inside the pre-drawn white circle. Emma turns to Jake and explains that hollowasts are invisible. No one else can see them. But Jake has inherited his grandfather's special ability. He is now the only one who can see the hollowasts. Miss Peregrine was able to kill the hollowast because Abe, when he killed the first hollowast, memorized the exact time and place it would appear. By remembering this information, Miss Peregrine was able to hit an enemy she couldn't see. After realizing Jake had discovered his purpose, Miss Peregrine finally tells him everything. Many years ago, a group of former peculiars led by Baron tried to conduct an experiment to achieve immortality. They captured a time-resetting bird and locked it in a cage, then forced the peculiars to wear masks connected to the bird. But a terrible accident occurred. Smoke began to rise from their bodies, their muscles convulsed violently, and then their bodies mutated. Their faces became grotesque, sharp fangs grew from their mouths, and in an instant they all turned into faceless, invisible hollowasts. Afterward, these hollowasts discovered that the only way to return to human form was to eat the eyes of other peculiars. Taking advantage of their invisibility, they hunted down and massacred countless peculiars. To protect the peculiar children, Miss Peregrine created the time loop on this hidden island. Just then, Olive runs in with an urgent message. Someone has arrived. It is Miss Avocat, who can also turn into a bird. Her time loop had been discovered by the hollowasts, and all the peculiars under her care had been wiped out. Miss Peregrine realizes the island is no longer safe. She immediately decides to lead everyone away. Emma begs Jake to go with them, but Jake cannot just abandon his parents. He steps through the time portal and returns to the present. But soon after, a gruesome murder occurs on the island. An elderly man has been killed. His eyes are gone. Jake's heart pounds with fear. He knows that a hollowast has followed him to the island. Without hesitation, he rushes back through the time portal to warn Miss Peregrine. But before he can get inside, a strange man starts chasing him. To Jake's horror, it is Baron, the leader of the Whites. He has been searching for the entrance to the time loop. Baron takes Jake hostage and brings him to the orphanage. By now, Baron no longer needs to eat eyes to maintain his human form, but he has never given up on achieving true immortality by harnessing the power of the time birds. Miss Peregrine knows the hollowasts will soon attack the orphanage. Jake is the only one who can see them and lead the others in battle. Therefore, she offers to trade herself for Jake. She transforms into her bird form and flies into Baron's cage. As the hollowasts are approaching, Jake gathers the peculiar children, arming them to prepare for a life-or-death battle. But before the battle begins, a hollowast suddenly appears and grabs Miss Avocat. Before anyone can react, the hollowast eats her eyes, killing her instantly. Enoch is suddenly caught by the hollowast's long tongue and lifted into the air. Just as the hollowast is about to eat his eyes, Jake shoots an arrow into it. The creature roars in pain and releases Enoch. Taking the opportunity, everyone rushes out of the room, but the enraged hollowast chases them relentlessly. Fiona stands outside the window and makes the tree branches grow rapidly. Before the hollowast can break in, everyone climbs onto the branches and escapes to the ground. Just then, more fighter jets appear in the sky. Without Miss Peregrine's time loop, the orphanage is about to be turned into rubble. Suddenly, the hollowast breaks through the window and lunges towards them. At the same time, the last fighter jet drops its bomb. In a split second, Emma grabs Jake and jumps from the building. The hollowasts and the orphanage are blown to smithereens. Meanwhile, Miss Peregrine's time loop has been destroyed. This means the peculiar children will start to age rapidly and will eventually die. Their only hope is to rescue Miss Peregrine and re-establish the time loop, but Miss Peregrine has been taken by Baron to the other side of the world. To save her, they must cross the ocean as quickly as possible. Emma leads everyone to the shipwreck. Using her power, she fills the ship's hull with air. As more and more air is pumped in, the ship slowly rises to the surface. Finally, all the seawater inside has been drained. Then Olive starts the ship's engine, and just like that, they have solved the problem of crossing the sea. Jake uses the map his grandfather left behind to locate the nearest time loop. Following the map, they soon reach their destination inside an abandoned amusement park. Jake and Emma spot Baron and a few hollowasts. Emma immediately provokes Baron to lure the hollowasts out. As expected, the creatures chase after her. The peculiar children, already in position, start throwing snowballs at the hollowasts, waiting for them to gradually become visible. Emma then blows a layer of colorful gel onto their bodies. Just then, an army of skeletons appears. It is Enoch. He has resurrected the crew of the shipwreck. A fierce battle breaks out. The hollowasts are very strong, but they cannot withstand the overwhelming numbers of the skeleton soldiers. One by one, they are eliminated. The last hollowast tries to escape, but Bronwyn uses a carousel horse to impale it, knocking it into the sea. With the hollowasts defeated, only Baron and his two minions remain. Hugh opens his mouth and releases a swarm of bees, launching the first attack. But Baron's men are also very strong. One of them reverts to her true form and jumps onto a platform. Before she can react, Claire suddenly uses the mouth on the back of her head to bite down on her. The twins immediately remove their masks, revealing their deadly gaze. In the blink of an eye, the enemy turns into a lifeless stone statue and shatters as it hits the ground. Fiona throws a handful of beans at the remaining minion. In seconds, the beans grow into giant vines, tightly wrapping around him. On the other side, Emma creates a powerful gust of wind, pinning Baron to the wall. Jake rushes into the laboratory and frees the time birds locked in cages. But soon, Emma's strength runs out and Baron breaks free. He bursts through the lab door, but by then all the time birds have escaped. Furious, Baron lunges at Jake, ready to kill him. Just then, Emma and Enoch burst into the room. But something is wrong. Now there are two identical Jakes standing before them. No one can tell which one is real and which is fake. Suddenly, a hollowast appears in the room. It is the one that fell into the sea. It is not dead yet. But to everyone's surprise, the hollowast walks straight towards the fake Jake. It cannot recognize that Baron has transformed into Jake. And because Baron cannot see the hollowast before he can react, the hollowast grabs him and gouges out his eyes. Then it eats them with relish. Jake quickly shoots an arrow, hitting the hollowast in the heart. The creature collapses to the ground, finally dead. At last, the crisis is over. After a final farewell, everyone is ready to board the ship and return to 1943. Jake and Emma stand together, sharing a reluctant goodbye. Finally, Jake steps through the time loop and returns to his own world. But because Baron and the hollowasts have been eliminated, the modern world has changed. In this timeline, Jake's grandfather, Abe, was never hunted by the hollowasts. Jake tells Abe everything that happened. Abe smiles and encourages him. Follow your own path and never live with regrets. Jake finally understands. Without hesitation, he steps through the time loop again and finds Emma just before she departs. The movie ends here. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting movies.